Hey guys, Red Taylor with the Red Hot Read Show, and I wanted to kind of bring you a story about my life and where I've been, where I came from, and what I've done to attain the successes that I've had in life, and really what I've used to be successful. So many times over the years, I've been selling health insurance, life insurance for the past 23 years, running my own business, and I talk to so many people who are looking to go self-employed. They want to get out of the rat race. They want to get out of the grind of the 9 to 5 and gain their freedom of time and their freedom of their finances, which is the American dream, right? And because I'll tell you, so many times over the years, I've met very, very rich and influential people. But one of the things that I've noticed is that people with a lot of money generally don't have a lot of time. And people, conversely, with a lot of time, really don't have a lot of money. And so true freedom is to be able to chase whatever you're passionate about, whatever gives you energy and belief and encouragement and fulfillment, and to be able to attain the financial freedom and the freedom of your time that we all so desire. So going back to my personal story, and it's kind of crazy, I began my career as a football coach. I started coaching football in high school, and somehow I got on at Auburn University with Coach Tuberville, who's now Senator Tuberville, in 1999 and 2000 as a graduate assistant football coach. I was way out of my league doing that, but I got on that staff, and I really I can't tell you how I got on that staff. I should never have been on that staff. Back then, we only had 2 graduate assistant coaches. Every university had 2 graduate assistant coaches, and they had 9 full-time paid assistant coaches. And so the GA jobs were really harder to get than the position jobs. And I'll never forget when the first day I showed up, the director of football operations was Coach Eldon Hawley. He pulled me into his office, and he reached down and he pulled out this big old binder, bam, and he slammed it on the desk. It looked like it was big as a mountain. And he says, "You know what that is, Red?" And "No, sir, I don't know what it is." He says, "That's all the people that want your job. So if you screw it up, then you're gone." So, basically let me know real quick that I was on a very short leash. And so, and also made it known very quick that job that I had just gotten, and I promise you I don't even know how I got it, was in super high demand. So I found out pretty quickly that working 80 to 100 hours a week was not going to be the fit for me, okay? If you're a college football coach, and those guys, man, that's one of the hardest jobs on the planet. Those guys work 50 weeks out of the year, and they're working nonstop. If they're not in meetings, then they're on the practice field. If they're not on the practice field, they're on the phone recruiting. If they're not on the phone recruiting, they're on the road driving cars. They're flying planes to all these towns, all these little neighborhoods all across America, going to meet with these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids to try to tell them how much they love them, how much they need them, how much they want to bring them into their program to help to make them better. And it's a very, very hard, difficult job. And a lot of those guys get fired and lose their livelihood for things that they had no control over whatsoever. And so, long story short, I figured out that wasn't going to be the career for me. So I was married at the time and had a 5-year-old daughter, and ended up getting a job coaching at a high school over in Cobb County, Georgia. And one of the great things about that is that the coach worked a deal out to where he would put me on staff and payroll in March instead of having to wait until August, September. And so my wife and I, and Jasmine, our daughter, we uprooted from that little 700 square foot apartment that we lived in Auburn. If you can imagine a 700 square foot apartment. We rooted up ourselves, and we moved over to a 2-bedroom apartment over in Cobb County, Georgia, and I started coaching ball there. Didn't take long for me to realize that it wasn't really a good fit for me. I was extremely passionate about helping others, about making a difference in young people's lives and giving back. And maybe the reason that I was so passionate about that is, guys, I'd come from absolutely nothing. Growing up, we didn't have anything. My father, he was an alcoholic. He worked hard, but he was an alcoholic. My mother, she worked hard. She was the manager at the gas station. And when I was 9 years old, my dad, he walked out on us and left us 5 kids. And so my mother, had some significant struggles. So we ended up bouncing around from my dad's, to my mom's, and he remarried pretty quickly. And that was another whole situation. And you never really felt like you belonged. I mean, it was one of those deals where I didn't feel like I had a true belonging, a true family. My mother had absolutely nothing, but she showed me that she loved me. My father had a new wife and a new life, but he didn't really feel like he loved me. And maybe some of you guys can relate to that. And so I always felt like I didn't really belong, but I wanted so much more. And, through my teenage years, I became extremely angry. And I was, acting out my anger through alcohol, through aggression. I would fight and get in fights sometimes and things like that. And, at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why. And I thought I was being some kind of, hard, tough guy, and it was people that surrounded me that I, thought that this was the way that we were supposed to be. This was back in the late 80s and early 90s. And, we were I played football at a football factory high school at Robert E. Lee in Montgomery, Alabama. And this was the time that NWA was coming about. And, man, that poured a lot into our lives. And thank God above that all the problematic actions and the aggressive and anger and resentment that was coming out that time didn't land me in a situation where I had made mistakes that changed my life forever. But there was a man during that time who was my head football coach at Spence McCracken, who inspired me to be someone better than who I was. And, I knew somehow, some way that I always wanted more, that I always wanted better, that I felt better than who I'd been in my past, the people that I'd come from. And I don't know why, but that was something that was in me, and I didn't know how to express it, and I didn't know how to explain it, but somehow, some way, I just didn't accept being some poor, redheaded stepchild that was supposed to be a detriment to society. I was kind of acting it out for a few years there, but I didn't really accept it as who I wanted to be and who I was in my life. And so, with the inspiration that Coach McCracken had given me, and fueling some of the other events that took place during that time, when I got to Cobb County, Georgia, I realized that the system that was in place here wasn't going to be a system that I was able to make the impact that was going to fulfill me, that was going to give me the joy that I desired. As something about sitting in a classroom from 7:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon just didn't fit well with me. I felt like I was in a cage that I just desired to get out. Now, when I'd go to that practice field and work with those kids, it was great. There was freedom there. There was fulfillment there. And even in the classroom, working with the kids, having, the relationships and the impact that I was able to have in those kids was satisfying to a point. But looking up at the end of the month and seeing a paycheck for $2,700 or $2,800 or $3,000, that wasn't cutting it for me. I just knew that I needed more. And lo and behold, my wife was pregnant as well. And so I began to realize that I was going to have to go into another career than coaching. And I went and made a call to a man named Ray Broadway. And Coach Broadway was the president of the Georgia High School Coaches Association. And I'd met him through some other associations that I'd had and relationships that I'd had. And thank God gave me an ability to be able to form relationships and to be able to bond with other people. But anyways, Coach Broadway, I called him up and I said, hey, you know anybody that's looking for a sales rep, coach? I'm thinking about getting out of coaching. And he's like, oh, Red, what do you mean you're getting out of coaching? Guy, man, you're one of the good ones and all this. And I said, Coach, I can't do the deal, man. I can't sit in the classroom all day and I can't deal with the money of it. And he's like, I get it. I said, what about if I could go and coach or sell for a company that sold athletic supplies and, something like that. And I could be around, I could still be around it a little bit, get the juice, or whatever. And he's like, well, I don't know anybody who's looking for that type of salesman, but I did have lunch with a guy yesterday that said that if he knew anybody that wanted to make $100,000 a year, to let him know. And I said, well, that sounds like me. And anyways, this was back in 2001. So I went and reached out to the guy and went and met with him, a little while later. And this gentleman was selling these things called these split funded annuities. And he had a niche in with high school teachers and coaches and all that kind of stuff. It was an angle to replace their 401ks, their retirement plans. And so I said, man, I think I can do that. And so during the summer of the year there, the school year 2001, I went and got my insurance license because for whatever reason I'd done some research and I was about to go into being a landscaper, running a lawn company, because that's what I'd known. You guys may have heard the story of me working for my buddy's dad, Tyler Johnston, and working landscaping all through middle school and high school on the weekends, and then after high school and after I was got back from college. So I knew that business and I knew I could do it, but man, it's hard work. So thankfully, I was able to have some wisdom to go into to the insurance business. And, that was one of the things that I'd tell anybody is that, I don't know how I had the wisdom to do that because I didn't have sources of wisdom. I didn't have a father who was able to pour wisdom into me. I didn't have a mother. I didn't have elders around me that I was able to seek direction and seek wisdom from. And I would encourage anybody to do that. Young people, old people, middle-aged people, listen to me. If you have sources of wisdom near you, seek that wisdom. Ask them, okay? I'm 51 years old. I love it when young people ask me, say, hey, Red, what would you do in this scenario? Okay, I got 51 years of screw ups. I tell you, okay, I'm not always going to be right, but maybe I'll give you a different perspective, a different angle than you're seeing at that time. And so thankfully, I had the wisdom and direction to choose insurance over landscaping and lawn maintenance, what have you. So went and got my license, and then, the very next year, my wife's pregnant again, and so we're about to have our third child. I worked 2 jobs, okay? And this is what people have to realize, okay? If you're going to be successful in life, there are no secrets. You have to work hard, okay? Period, point blank, end of story, okay? There is no ATM in success. There's no microwave oven in success. It's hard work. You have to be willing to sacrifice what you want now for what you want most. And for people that are able to do that, you're able to attain the goals and the desires that you want. You're able to succeed. And I'll tell you, success is a road that is always under construction. You're never going to get to a place where you're able to jump up on the table, beat yourself on the chest, and say, I made it, I'm here, I'm successful. No way. That ain't the way it works, guys. Okay? Because there's always somebody ahead of you. There's always another goal. There's always another level for you to achieve. And success spans on so many different realms. Okay? I'm just trying to tell you what the story of my life has been so that maybe I can help to give somebody some direction and courage to take that step and believe in yourself. If you can just believe in yourself. Okay? I told Vince earlier, how a man believes, so he goes. The power of our life, the power of our existence, the power of our success and our failure is how we believe. It's our thoughts. It's the way that we run our mind. I read a book when I was 19 years old by Tony Robbins called Unlimited Power. And I would encourage anybody to get this book and read it, okay? Get a marker out, get a highlighter, and start highlighting and study it. he talked about a science called neuro-linguistic programming. I think I got that right, short for NLP, okay? Well, what that is the study of the mind and how the mind represents things to itself, okay? So when I was young, that struck a chord in me, and I was like, man, that sounds like kind of maybe what I've been doing, some of my life, representing that I was a little bit better than these people that I felt like that I came from. And then I got into, playing football, and Coach McCracken always said, you're better than that. You're better because you screw up and, you miss a block, or you miss a tackle, or you miss a throw, or you miss a hole, right? And so instead of, beating you down and saying, you stink, you suck, you can't do this, he would always say, you're better than that. You're better than what you just showed. Okay? And that's the encouragement that I want for you today. You are better than your worst day. You're better than your average day, and you're better than your best day. But the only way that you're going to be better is to believe it in your mind and know it in your heart and have the courage to act on it. Okay? And so, I started work in this insurance business, and I'd go into my classroom, and luckily I was able to hook up with a guy that's one of the great mentors of my life and one of my best friends. His name is Michael Dennis, one of the most successful human beings on the planet, so wise, and he's mentored me and given me so much good advice throughout my whole life. I've known him since we were young, and we still have a miraculous relationship to this very day. I'm so thankful of the role that he's played in my life and all the many roles that he's played in my life. And so instead of selling those old split-funded annuities, which I couldn't really wrap my head around, I was able to go into health insurance and life insurance with Michael. Michael had a source where he was able to get these leads. And so I'd buy the leads. They would show up on my fax machine, old school fax machine, on Monday morning. And so at school, when I was still teaching, during my planning period, and we were on the block schedule, so the planning period was 90 minutes. So I had an hour and a half. I would call those leads, and I would set appointments. And if those folks would set an appointment with me at 10 o'clock at night and I had to drive an hour and a half away, I'd go do it. There was no time that was too late. There was no distance that I wouldn't drive. There was no effort that I would not take to go and try to make that sale. And back in those days, it was just about a sale, and it was just about money. And it was just about, creating a better life for myself and my family. So, I was able to do that. It was my side hustle, but very, very quickly, it became my main hustle. So by Christmas break, and y'all know how school, high school and public school works. You have that first semester, and everything goes from there, in August or September all the way up to Christmas break. And then the whole thing sets over in January. Well, by Christmas, I was replacing my income pretty consistently with my insurance sales versus my school salary, okay? And so I continued to do that throughout the second semester, January through May, and then in May I resigned and I went full time. Now, I want you to understand something. Everything was commission only. So nobody was going to pay me unless I sold things, okay? I had just built a new house. I had a wife and I had 3 small children under the age of 6. Okay? And so leaving the safe, sound, secure income of being a high school teacher and football coach, and they would have let me coach as many sports as I want. Heck, they had me a year before coaching girls golf, and they had me coaching the swim team, and they'd pay you a little, stipend of $2,000 or $3,300 for that, season or whatever. And so you could supplement your income, and then teachers, you all know how you do this. You go back to school and you get your master's degree, and it adds another $7,000, $8,000 a year to your income, and then you can go get a specialist for another $7,000, $8,000, and then every year you're getting a little raise. So, they got you. Before you know it, you're making $55,000, $60,000, $65,000 a year, and you got 10 years in, and they got you, right? You can't get out of it. And so, thankfully, I was able to see that it wasn't going to be the life for me early on, and I had the courage to take action. And that's the key. That's the key that I want everybody to understand right now, is even if I had the belief in myself, Even if I had the knowledge that I could go and I could do this, that I could sell these plans and I could go and run these calls and I could work till 10, 11 o'clock at night. It took courage. It took courage to step out on my own, okay? To know that there was nothing, that nobody was going to pay me $1. I had a brand new house. I had a wife that wasn't working at the time. We had 2 infants at home. My children were born 15 months apart. And then we had a 6-year-old. And so thankfully I had the courage to take action and step out there on my own for what I believed in. And I believed in myself. I believed the fact that I had the ability to go and create rapport with other people. I believed that I had the ability to create bonds with other people. I believed that I had the desire and the work ethic to study and research and prepare so that I knew my product inside and out and that I knew what my competition was. And on top of that, I knew that deep down inside, I had a desire to help people. That's why I got into coaching in the first place, is because I wanted to help people. I wanted to make an impact on young people's lives. Young people are so, your worlds are so upside down, all you can think of is yourself. You're focused on yourself, and it's supposed to be that way. And so everything outside of you is happening outside of you, and everything inside of you is happening through the world. But, I felt like what I could do with young people, I was able to start seeing success with families and individuals and business owners. Okay. And so the thing that I want everybody to understand is if you're thinking about becoming self-employed, if you're thinking about opening your own business, okay, folks call me all the time. They want to know what the health insurance looks like. They want to know what the benefits look like. Well, I've been working this job over here. I've been working in this career for 15 years. I've been working on over here for 18 years, for 12 years, for 9 years. I've got this great salary. They're paying me $65,000 a year. But I've got this benefits package that's amazing. Okay, listen. The last place you want to buy your benefits, the last place that you want to get your benefits is from your employer. Okay, trust me on this. The employer that has 100 employees, 500 employees, 1,000 employees, he may not know the name of all of his employees. He definitely doesn't know what your spouse's name is, okay, or your children. But I can promise you this, the one that had a $5 million, $2 million cancer claim last year, he knows the name of that spouse. He knows the name of that child because that's the one that's making his insurance go up, okay? And he ties that to you, the employee. And does that put you in a situation where you have an advantage? Are you empowered to prosper with that employer? Are you maybe at a disadvantage and disempowered to prosper with that employer? Okay? You do not have to buy your benefits through your job, through your employer. There are guys like me at Red Taylor Insurance that do this all over the country, and we help people get good, sound benefits at a price that's very affordable. And I'm not plugging my company here today, but I kind of am, okay? Because we do help people. So what I would encourage you guys to do today, take anything that I gave you from my story, put it into your life. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in your dream, God didn't put that dream in your heart to not see it come true. I'm just telling you. I'm as sure of this as the sun will set tonight and that it will rise in the morning, that the dreams that we have in our heart, they're not there by accident. God put that dream in your heart. And when you live your life unfulfilled, without joy, without satisfaction, without peace, without excitement, without energy, maybe it's because you're not chasing that dream. Maybe it's because you're not chasing that passion that was placed into your heart so long ago. Why? Ask yourself, why not? It's because you don't have the courage. Courage is the principle by which all others stand. Pray for courage. Develop that courage. Believe in yourself. Do the work that it's going to take that's necessary for you to achieve your dreams. They're there for you. And I'm pulling for you. Red Taylor from the Red Hot Reed Show is pulling for you. And you can reach me for advice at redtaylorinsurance.com anytime, any day.